You are listening to Policybazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.
So, as a kid, I was totally charmed by cars. My friends and I, we would spend time and spend hours gawking at the coolest rides on the road. Fast forward to today, and those dream cars are now a reality for some of us. But owning a luxury car isn't just about fulfilling that childhood dream. It's also about protecting your investment and preventing the dream from really turning into a nightmare. The first step, luxury car insurance. Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of The Policy Project. I'm Sid, your host and the voice behind all things insurance. So today, we're going to be diving into the world of luxury cars and discussing why insuring them requires special considerations. So for all those driving high-end machines or just dreaming about them, this episode is for you. And like always, I'm not alone. I'm joined in by the expert who knows luxury cars insurance inside out. So please welcome Neeraj Gupta. He is the CEO of Policybazaar UAE. Welcome, Neeraj. Always a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Hi, thanks, Ed. Thanks for having me on the Policy Project. It's always a pleasure to interact with you.
Thank you, Ji. The feeling's mutual. Okay, so I'm excited about this particular topic. Luxury car insurance is something a lot of people don't fully understand. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is a luxury car insurance? How do you define it?
So, first, let's define what a luxury car is. A lot of people coming from a middle class background like myself, owning a Mercedes or a BMW is a luxury car in itself, right? But however, being in UAE, obviously, luxury will be defined something different. So typically, a luxury car is defined typically as per insurers. If I take a ballpark, is something which is upwards of 700,000 dirhams.
Okay.
So that is where they will define it as a luxury segment, because why? They have different insurer plans for that specific segment, and that is why they have a value consideration. Obviously, they are flexible about it. When we go deep dive into further questions, we will talk about that. But pretty much anything valued above 700,000 dirhams can be considered a luxury car.
So it's not according to the brand, it's according to the value of the car, obviously.
So that is what I said. There are many considerations, but if you have to, as a layman, take one consideration, then it will be about 700,000 dirhams as the value.
Okay, fair point. Okay, so chalo, questions ke saath mein shuru karte hain. First off, what unique coverage options are typically offered in luxury car insurance compared to your standard auto insurances?
So on a luxury car, as I defined, anything above 700,000. So there are a lot of benefits available. One is that you get agency repair available up to, like, for example, 5, 10 years, 15 years. So if you go for a normal car insurance, typically an insurance companies will offer you agency repairs up to 2-3 years. And beyond that, there will be a normal standard garage or a premium garage repair. Whereas if you have a luxury car, there are insurance companies with which, if you take an insurance and you continue to renew, till you renew with them, you will get that agency repair. The other aspect that you get is a gap cover for 24 months. See, what is the gap cover is, for example, and this is applicable only for new cars. So when I buy a new car and unfortunately something was to happen and it was a total loss, now what will happen is the car, the moment you take it out of the showroom, it depreciates, right? In a normal course of action. Now, if your car was to meet up with an accident, it was a total loss. Typically, there will be a depreciation applied, and basis that you will get the value. So, for example, 10% depreciation gets applied, and you will get the remainder of the value. Whereas on a luxury car segment, they give you this gap cover for up to 24 months. So basically, in 24 months, if the car was a total loss, they will give you a brand new car. And third would be an agreed value concept. What that mean is, whenever I take an insurance, on the start of insurance, the day one of the insurance, be it a renewal, be it a new car insurance, there is a car value assigned. But that car value will not stay the same for 365 days. So it gets depreciated every month. So if you were to have an accident in the 8th month, there'll be a depreciation applied. Again, this is applicable for total loss. and you
Right.
will get the value minus the depreciation. Whereas in the luxury car segment, they define and agree on a value which will be applicable for the whole year, irrespective the total loss happened in the first month or the 12th month. So there'll be no depreciation applied.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, since we are talking about the agreed value coverage, so how do insurers calculate this coverage for high value or even for that matter, those rare luxury cars?
Okay. See, insurance company, obviously, they are taking a huge amount of risk, so they have those experts, right? Without which they
True.
would be burning their hand. So they have the experts and they are very much aware on the market trend. So basis that they will
Hmm.
define a car value, and obviously they will look at the history and what the market scenario looks like and what they've been
Hmm.
insuring in the past. Basis that they will define a value.
Interesting. Okay. But I also heard there is something called a limited mileage policy. So, firstly, what are the implications for limited mileage policies for luxury car owners and how do insurers enforce them?
So what will happen is, for example, if you have a McLaren sports car, fair enough,
Yes.
and it's a 2-year-old car, and you see at the odometer it's only run 100 kilometers. Now, from an insurance company, what they will do is they will specifically physically check the odometer and everything, and basis that give you a better pricing. But what they will do is also they will take a declaration from you at the start of the policy that you will drive XYZ kilometers, and basis that they will give you the premium. Obviously, if you go 5-10% beyond the mileage, it's unacceptable. But for example, you committed, I'll drive 200 kilometers and you're driving 2000 kilometers, then obviously you will have certain excesses to be then paid, right?
Right.
But the idea from an insurance company's perspective is the lesser you are driving, the lesser the probability of the car meeting an accident.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So
Okay.
that's the objective. That's the objective from a limited mileage perspective.
And in terms of any modifications or customizations made to the luxury car, how is the coverage handled then?
So the good thing, at least in the UAE perspective, is any modification and everything has to be approved and endorsed on your RTA or wherever, right? It has to be approved.
Yes.
You just cannot
Correct.
take your car, modify it. But typically, insurers refrain from insuring luxury cars who've been modified, right?
Hmm.
They typically will be very choosy when it comes to modification. So typically, if you're modifying your luxury car, be very wary about it because one, it can lead to a lot increase in the premium, and the
Hmm.
insurance company might decide not to renew you. So your options might reduce.
So, when we're talking about modifications, customizations, just diving a little bit deeper in that, is it just about the insurance will have a problem with the engine or the gearbox or the suspensions, or if they just do like a color change, would that be a problem?
So color change would not ideally be a problem, but it depends, right? So insurance company, a person who has a, for example, a 2 million dirham car, now he's doing a color coating and all. Now they will also define it. Where are you getting it done from? Right?
Hmm.
Because that also makes a huge difference. So, for example, if I have a Rolls Royce and I'm getting things done from Rolls Royce, then might not be modification, it might be more customization, but it's more of a manufacturer doing it, right? So, then it will be part
Correct.
of the standard package, right? But if you're taking a third party and getting things done, then it might look
Right.
very different.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of exclusions, are there any specific exclusions which are common in the luxury car insurance policies? And how do policyholders mitigate these gaps?
So one of the biggest thing is a lot of people buy luxury cars here and then their young kid starts driving. So that is one piece they need to be very careful on. If the driver driving at the time of accident was below 25, then a
Right.
deductible will be applied for a young driver, which is applicable in a standard policy also, but the cost implications at a luxury car would be much significant.
Right.
Otherwise, as such, basically, at the time of inception of a policy, there are certain declarations which the consumer does with the insurance company, and they need to follow it through. That's about it.
Interesting. Okay. I was going through some videos and I saw storage solutions for these high end and luxury cars. So, if you have some kind of garages which have climate control and all these advanced security systems. Does this influence the insurance rate for luxury cars as well?
It does. So if you have
Hmm.
luxury cars which are from, for example, enclosed enclosures which have a proper temperature control, then obviously it impacts the premium of the vehicle. The insurer
Hmm.
will take into account where you are parking the vehicle, what are the parking conditions. They will definitely
Right.
take that into account.
Okay. Okay. And how do insurers account for fluctuating market value of rare luxury cars in the policy renewals?
So as we discussed earlier, insurance companies do have their experts from a car value perspective, and typically it's more of they are in tune with the market, right? They also understand that they'll not be able to insure a luxury car if they underprice it, because the
Hmm.
consumer is very peculiar about the pricing. So I believe they are in line with the market trends. They have their experts. They use different services to price that vehicle properly.
Okay. But last question before we wrap things up here. Are there any common mistakes or misconceptions? Are there some things that car owners of these high-end vehicles they get wrong about insurance?
So, a couple of things. One,
Okay.
a lot of time consumers would just move from one insurer to the other at the time of renewal. But if you are a luxury car owner, you should be wary about that. Why? Because you should look at the benefits you get from the insurance company if you continue to renew. As I mentioned earlier, if you renew with certain insurers and continue to renew, they'll give you agency repair till you renew. Now, if you have
Hmm.
and move to a different insurer, probably it will give you an agency repair only for 3 years or 2 years, right? And if you shift the
Right.
insurer now in the fourth year, you might not be applicable for an agency repair. So that is very important aspect which a lot of luxury car owners miss because they'll only look at premium comparison but not at the long term benefit at times.
True, true, true. This really is an investment, so to speak.
Exactly. If you're a luxury car owner, typically the chances are this will not be the only car. You might be a car collector or you have a lot of cars, right? And that is where, as I
Right.
mentioned earlier, what also one thing is important is so, for example, basis the profile of the consumer. So, what might happen is in your household, you will not only have luxury cars, you might have a normal car also. But because you're
True.
profiling and you have luxury cars, what might happen is you also might get the benefit on your not luxury cars. So, for example, if
Hmm.
you have a car which is valued less than 500,000 dirhams, you might be able to get the same benefits as a luxury car because your profile says that and your other cars are insured with the insurer.
Right, 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 right. Very, very fascinating. All right, let's get on to our next segment. It's called Ask Away. All right, so here we take up FAQs from our lovely customers and answer them with the help of our experts. So, if you too have questions about luxury car insurance or anything else insurance related, slide into our DMs on Instagram. Follow us on Policy Bazaar UAE, or you can reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in the next episode. Today, however, we'll be taking up the questions about insurance, luxury car insurance. And we've received in our inbox quite a lot of them. So, Neeraj, ready?
Yes, let's dive in.
Okay, जी. So Aisha का सबसे पहले आया है. She's asking what add-ons are essential for these high-value vehicles.
So, couple of add-ons which are inbuilt to the luxury car segment or insurance, as we
जी.
discussed earlier. One is unlimited agency repair, which means agency repairs up to the time you continue to renew with an insurance company. So that's a very important aspect that you should be watchful for. The other is the 24-month replacement cover or the gap cover. Typically, for a standard car, this is only applicable for the first 6 months. This cover is only applicable when you insure your new car and continue to renew with them. So you get this cover for 24 months. The other is car rental. So if your car has gone to a workshop, typically in a standard policy, you will get 7 or 10 days of car rental. But in a luxury car insurance, you'll get up to 30 days. Some will offer 20 days, some will offer 30 days. And this 20 or 30 days is applicable per claim. And what they will also do is they will give you a similar car, which means you, for example, if you're driving a Rolls Royce, you will be able to rent a similar car,
Right.
which is the same segment.
Okay, cool. Aisha, we hope you got your answer. And next one, Rahul Gahe. He is asking, how often should I review my car insurance policy if I own a high end car?
So obviously, at the time of renewal, you should look at what the terms are, what the benefits are
Right.
available, and you should also be and you should review if any changes have happened from a usage of your car. Have you started
Hmm.
driving a lot more, or has your parking spots changed? So those
Right.
information you should obviously share with the insurance company, and basis that
Hmm.
renew your car insurance. But in the mid-year, I don't think so. There'll be too much where you can review your car insurance, right?
Right. Okay. And the next one is coming in from Nora. Now, I'm guessing that they travel a lot, and like a lot of locals here, they travel with their cars. So she's asking, how do international driving laws and travel impact coverage for luxury vehicles driven abroad?
So two things happen here, Sid. One, obviously,
Anji.
insurance company has to be aware before they incept the risk. Are you going to be traveling and taking this car outside the UAE specifically?
Right.
Right? If you're going in GCC, then yes, third party insurance will be part of the package. But the point is,
Agree.
the insurer needs to be informed before you can do that, and
Hmm.
basis that there'll be terms and conditions. Now, for example, you want to take your car probably in some racing and everything, then there'll be a
Right.
different underwriting done on the car, because you're gonna
Hmm.
use it for an activity which might be prone for damage. So they might either exclude during
Correct.
that time, okay, for this event we are not covering this, or they might specifically cover this with an additional premium. So what that means
Hmm.
is, one, obviously you have to abide by the local rules, because you can't just decide to take the car to the new country. The
Hmm.
rules, if they are allowed or not, you have to follow the proper documentation process.
And Ali is asking next, how can I ensure my car gets OEM parts if it needs repairs?
So two things here. One, obviously, try and stick with agency repairs. So that will
Right.
help you mitigate the OEM parts issue at least.
Hmm.
And second, always go to a premium garage. Consult with your insurance company. Basis that, only visit the garage. Don't go to a garage. At times, somebody might offer you, okay, I can get this and this done for this much price.
Right.
Uh, Please refer to your insurance company, please refer to your broker, and basis
Hmm.
that, choose the garage where you're repairing your car.
Okay, Ji. So after Ali's question, we have Herman, and he wants to know, how does the claim process for luxury cars differ from regular automobiles, especially when it involves expensive repairs or total loss scenarios? We touched upon it a little while back, but it's always good to just elaborate on that.
So I believe expensive repairs will fall under the normal scenario. Total loss is where the difference starts to come in.
Okay.
First and foremost is rent a car. If your car is going for a workshop or a total loss, you get a rent a car up to 20, 30 days depending on your policy term. So that's one additional benefit you have. Second, as we discussed, if it's a total loss, depending on how new or old the car was, you might be able to get full replacement vehicle of the car.
Hmm.
Second, there will not be any depreciation charged when you started the policy, and if the car has a total loss during, for example, 9 month, you might be applicable for a 10% depreciation in a normal insurance plan, but in a luxury
Right.
car segment, you will not have to get that depreciation. What I mean by depreciation is, for example, if it's a 1 million dirham insured value, when you started the policy in 10th month, you had a total loss, and in an average, in a regular policy, the depreciation applied would be 10%, which means you'll be
Right.
only eligible for 900,000 dirhams. Whereas in a luxury segment, this depreciation will not be applicable, and you will get your 1 million dirhams.
Very, very interesting. All right, Ji. Thank you so much for your answers, Neeraj. And that wraps up our Ask Away segment. That's it for today's episode. I hope we've answered some of the burning questions about insuring luxury cars and given you insights on choosing the right coverage. As always, Neeraj, a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Really appreciate your time and expertise.
Thank you, Sid. It's always a pleasure to be on the policy project and help our listeners and viewers with everything related to insurance and financial services.
Always, always. The feeling's mutual. And to the listeners now, remember, if you have any insurance questions, just simply ask away. DM us on Instagram, follow Policy Bazaar UAE, or reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in the next episode, and with more valuable insight and expert advice. Till then, take care, happy driving, and we'll see you in the next one.
You were listening to Policybazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.